Hello, welcome to another video. And I'm actually with my boyfriend here, who's a lawyer and a huge fan of Bitcoin. And I'm going to play longer games. As we know, I love to have distractions while I'm playing chess, so I thought during this chess game I'd interview him about a big question I have, which is what happens when you have Bitcoin but you die? Because Bitcoin, I feel like because it's a relatively new thing, um, I don't know, my perception was that this wasn't planned out enough, but apparently there's a whole system in place. So,
Yeah. Hey everyone. Thanks. Just to let you know, this please don't say that beforehand.
okay.
If you want to give her money, that's absolutely fine by me. Um,
Send me Bitcoin.
Send her Bitcoin. So this was actually conceived of by Satoshi. Satoshi Nakamoto is the guy who pseudonymously invented Bitcoin in the wake of the financial crisis here in America. Um, and what he said initially on the process of maybe losing bitcoins or dying, actually I should take a step back. First of all, Bitcoin is a monetary unit that can be self-custodied. What does that mean? That means that people using cryptography and passwords can make sure that they are the only people that can control that Bitcoin. They control when it's spent and when it's used. It's not custodied by a bank. You don't have to ask anyone to spend or use your Bitcoin. And that has a lot of advantages. So people who live in oppressive governments or under oppressive governments, etc., have the ability to conduct financial transactions and that sort of thing without the need to appease like a regime or anything like that. But it does have a downside. What Catherine's alluding to is if you're the only person who has access to some Bitcoin, if you aren't around anymore, like let's say you die and you don't give your Bitcoin password to somebody else, that can cause problems. Nobody has access to that Bitcoin at that point. Satoshi envisioned the problem by just saying, well, there's a hard cap on Bitcoin itself. And actually, because the supply is so limited, anytime anybody like loses a little bit of Bitcoin, people should just think of it as a donation to everybody who's using the network because it makes Bitcoin a little bit more scarce and everybody else's holdings if the coins that are lost go dormant. Obviously, that's all fine and good for people who don't lose their Bitcoin, but eventually, because we're all mortals, everybody's going to die, and there's definitely been a couple of issues about how people pass their Bitcoin on. Do you have any questions so far, Bubby?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm just thinking about is everyone dies eventually. So, and it just seems not sustainable that it seems like only a limited number of people are going to figure out a way to pass on their Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bubby.
So,
Um, so yeah, there's if you don't want to just make a donation to the monetary network, there's a couple of ways you can deal with this issue if you do have a lot of Bitcoin. Number one, first and foremost, you could just give somebody else access to your private keys. When I said password earlier, that's what I was referring to. Your private key is what allows you, it's a single random 20 digits that allow you to access the Bitcoin network. It's a password, basically, that's provided for you by the Bitcoin network. If you were to just give that to somebody else, then automatically you have a level of safety there that you know that even if you were to die, somebody could still access your Bitcoin if you wanted to do that. If you don't trust anybody enough to do that, there are other ways too. I should say that way is actually probably what's currently most useful right now. So about 5 years ago, the best way to pass Bitcoin on when you died is just find a lawyer in America that would be willing to store a letter or wherever you wrote your private keys down to be able to restore your Bitcoin wallet if you need to. I'm realizing that there's a lot of stuff that you need to know to understand these explanations. Basically, you would give a lawyer some relevant information about the Bitcoin wallet that you hold that would provide whoever you designate as your the person who receives your trust, your trustee, the ability to access your Bitcoin. I said that in a very complicated way. It's very simple. It would be like giving somebody your Gmail password in the event that you die, so they can go and delete all of the racy emails that you sent to your boss. Further, though, there have been lots of other developments. There is a company right now called Unchained Capital, run by this guy named Parker Lewis, who's a really, really interesting guy. I won't go into his details right now, though, but safe to say, he has developed a product using multi-signature technology that allows Unchained Capital to custody your Bitcoin, help you custody your Bitcoin. Basically, it allows you to have a Bitcoin wallet with multiple passwords. So let's say you don't know any lawyers that you trust enough to give your Bitcoin information to. Well, now with this multi-signature setup, you can give your lawyer one password, you could give Unchained Capital one password, and you could keep two passwords yourself. And given those constraints, you can set up a 2 of 4 multi-sig wallet, which means that you would need 2 of those passwords of the 4 in total, because you have 2, Unchained has 1, and your lawyer has 1, to move that Bitcoin. So under the situation, you could move your Bitcoin yourself, or your lawyer and Unchained Capital working in tandem could move your Bitcoin as well in the event that you were to die. That way, you can trust that it gives you greater trust assurances that your Bitcoin isn't going to be stolen or whatever. Does that sort of make sense?
Yes.
You are losing this game.
No, I'm not.
All right, sorry. I don't know. Do you have any other questions that come off the top of your head?
Not at the moment. Quick note, whenever I think about dying, I just think about it. It's kind of like, obviously it's a much more intense feeling, but I feel like it's analogous to when you're losing a chess game, and it's just like a game over type feeling, except much more profound.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Bubby.
I'm trying to listen to you and play this game at the same time.
Yeah. I feel like this isn't a very good, whatever.
Can you get more
into the rook with your horsey?
Can you get more into the legal aspects?
The legal aspects? A little bit. Full disclosure, Trust in Estates was probably my...
Oh, and by the way, don't tell me what moves to do.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, sorry, continue on.
Okay, I won't tell you what moves to do. Trust in Estates was my worst grade in law school. But I can tell you that basically... well, so it's tough. I can give you kind of generalized advice for America, but I can't really tell you more than that. Why aren't you taking the bishop right now?
Well, I don't know if I want to take it right away.
Okay.
Because I'm worried about the queen right now. True. I mean, true. I just want to, I want to think about my moves before I do them, because one of my biggest weaknesses in chess is that I make decisions too quickly, and I'm really trying to stop that, because there have been so many times during games when I just make a snap decision off the top of my head, and it's not a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really trying to work on slowing down when I play games.
Okay, fair enough.
I was anticipating that move. So yes, generalized. So suppose you live in the United States.
Suppose you live in the United States. If you die without a will, you're oftentimes will have to pay a 40% tax on any income that you have over. What's the limit right now? I think for couples it's like $11 million. For individuals it's like $6 million. It's an estate tax. But you can put those things into a trust if you want to, which is a kind of a fictionalized legal entity that kind of protects you from tax liability. There are a lot of this kind of like. So the dirty little secret of the crypto industry is like basically nobody is paying taxes still. You'd kind of be stupid to do that. Like there are some people who pay their taxes now, like as it's become a more highly regulated industry, but the overwhelming majority of Bitcoiners aren't really paying taxes. And like, oh my, all right. Once Bitcoin adoption becomes more widespread and more people, like the crackdowns start to happen, it should start to be less Wild Westy, I guess is the good way to say it. And those sorts of things would be more important. But as of right now, it's not really that big of a deal. You shouldn't really have to think about taxes right now. That's what I'm trying to say. This is not legal advice, just FYI. But like, full disclosure, I know the people that like prosecute tax crimes. They are not technically savvy enough to like really come after anybody, but beyond like the really big people. Like if you have hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, like billions of dollars worth, like they'll come after you. But if you just have like $25,000, like nobody's gonna give a fuck. It's not worth it. Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the problem of Bitcoin inheritance, though, because these like multi-signature setups, like to be honest, the English legal tradition has solved this issue for like hundreds of years. It's trusting lawyers to make sure that like they're not going to steal your shit. And they don't for the most part, because the penalties of stealing your stuff, as long as you tell somebody that they're like entitled to this Bitcoin and they know that, and they know which lawyer to go to, and then if the lawyer doesn't give it to them, the penalties to that lawyer can be orders of magnitude more than whatever the value of your Bitcoin is.
But that still seems too much. The magical thing about Bitcoin is that it's decentralized, so you don't rely on trusting people, really.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I am describing the older way to do it. But before these multi-sig setups, you would have to trust somebody with your private keys. Like you just had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of other solutions, like so there were people who invented time-sensitive Bitcoin wallets. So if you knew that you were going to die within the next like 30 or 40 years or something like that, you could give your descendants the information about a Bitcoin wallet that was going to be able to open, let's say on July 1st, 2035 or something like that. And you can give them all that information, but the Bitcoin won't be available to spend for another 15 years or whatever.
Gotcha.
That has kind of fallen out of favor a little bit because you actually technically still need a trusted third party in that. Like the problem that you're trying to solve is that like the upside of Bitcoin is that you don't have to trust third parties, right? But like the issue of inheritance is like you're literally trying to give your Bitcoin to a third party. And so like you have to, there's a balancing act there. You can't have a fully trustless thing because like on some level you're trusting your the people who precede you and or not precede you, the people who live after you to like stay alive and like have the capability of finding this information and being able to spend the Bitcoin. Like you have to trust them at least.
Interesting.
To be able to go get it. So, like you're not going to be able to find a absolutely trustless way to get them their Bitcoin because they themselves are a third party.
Gotcha. So the takeaway. So, what should the average person do about this?
The average person?
Yeah. What should I do?
What should you do? You should just keep it on Cash App.
Keep it on Cash App.
And then like have somebody like me know your password.
Okay. Sounds good.
Like,
that's the solution.
That is overwhelmingly going to, like, if you want to get more philosophical about it, like, there are absolutely solutions available, like the Unchained Capital stuff, but, like, the amount of Bitcoin that you have, I know, like, I say that we have a lot of Bitcoin, but we really don't have a lot of Bitcoin. Like, it's just not...
Well, more than... What do you mean by a lot? Because we probably have more than the average person.
Oh, yeah, okay, so, yes, we're in the... well into the 1% of the world. We're actually probably together in the 0.01% by a lot. But our Bitcoin still isn't valuable enough yet to make the cost of these other solutions worth it. Like, I'm not going to betray your trust for the amount of money that you have in Bitcoin. Like, it's just not worth it to me to betray your trust like that. Yeah, it just, we have to, there are no solutions in life, there are only trade-offs. That's what I'm trying to say.
Good point.
Yeah. Anyway, in closing, I just want everybody, if you don't have any Bitcoin yet, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Get some friggin' Bitcoin.
Before it's too late.
I mean, we're still insanely early. I mean, Bitcoin could be worth $10 million by 2030. So you're not too late yet, but like...
It's getting later.
I won't tell you to like put 100% of your net worth in Bitcoin because that's what I do and we're just built different, you know? Like, I don't know you, listener, but I know that we're built different. And I'm sure you can't handle the level of risk that I can handle.
Also, we're young and we have our whole earning potential ahead of us for the most part.
Yeah, but like in the last 19 days. I just started a new job. In the last 19 days, I don't have more money in Bitcoin than I will working at this job.
Public defender.
Why are you giving me all this freaking private information? Okay. But yeah, I think this is a good time to sign off.
Alright, thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.